welcome to the 6th edition of hafnar.blabla. This is our in-house podcast that we're broadcasting live here from Hafnar.haus. We are right in the Reykjavík harbor, but due to the very uncommon sunshine that we are dealing with now and this extra day of February, we actually had to close the curtains because we are not set up for actual daylight. My name is Jóna Dungal. I am here kind of filling in the very big shoes of Josie, who has mostly been doing this, but we miss you very much, Josie. She is currently not in town. So I'm here to hopefully provide some kind of hosting that, I guess I say, it's very big shoes to fill from Josie. I'm here with my friend, Inga Weisshappel. Welcome.
Thank you.
It's kind of weird that we're two Icelandic people speaking in English, but when Josie asked me to step in here, I thought it would be a good idea to do it the first time with someone that I know and am very comfortable with.
I didn't really think about that because we speak English so much to each other.
Yeah.
I think I speak English to you more than I speak Icelandic with you.
Almost. Also,
in a group.
Yeah, also because we are friends outside of just this podcast right now.
Yes.
And seeing how I'm married to a non-Icelandic speaker, we do end up speaking English quite a lot. But yeah, we're here together because we are members of hafnar.haus, depending on how you like to pronounce it. This fantastic community that's just been formed in the last year and a half or so. We're relatively new additions to this community, but we are here in the co-working space. We're taking advantage of that while we run our businesses, and we both work in the music industry. What is it that you do, Inga? And that'll be the next half hour of the podcast, and then we'll kind of be, we can talk about the weather, and then we'll be done.
Okay. So, a little bit of a backstory. I am a graduated composer. I graduated from classical music composition and new media in 2018. For 4 years approximately, I worked as a music editor in films and TV. I was the music editor for Katla, which was kind of the big opportunity that came up and kind of opened other doors for me.
The Netflix series, Katla.
Series, yeah. And after that, I did a few more projects as a music editor. And then 2 years ago, I started working as a music supervisor in films and TV. And I did that with an international company called Vice Music Group, who have these in-house music supervisors in other offices around the world. And then in the end of 2022, me, in collaboration with Vice Music Group, opened a Iceland office called Vice Music Iceland, which is a music publishing company in Iceland that also does music supervision. So yeah, I am running Vice Music Iceland today, but I am working kind of in collaboration with the international Vice Music Group.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure that our viewers have no idea what half of that meant.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm used to it.
Exactly. So what does music supervision mean? What is a music supervisor, and what does what is it that you do?
Well, a music supervisor is basically the person who is supervising all music in a project.
Mm-hmm.
And that can really depend on what the project needs. There are projects where I'm only coming in and licensing the songs that are going to be used in that project. And those projects, it's usually like, the director has a really clear view of what they want. So they've already decided on the songs, and I'm basically just coming in, clearing the songs, or like getting approvals for the usage.
And to get the legal approval to be able to do something.
Just be able to use that song in this TV series or something. So that's kind of the easy small projects. But then it goes from that all the way to coming in script stage, helping with finding a right composer, helping with picking all of the songs and figuring out what scenes need songs. Everything that can be related to music, really. Communications with the composer. Sometimes we do, make songs specifically for that project. It's called bespoke music, when you hire someone, like a songwriter, to come in and create and write a song for a specific scene. That's not the score composer. Sometimes it's, I've had to find music teachers to teach the main actor to learn an instrument. Basically everything that's related to music, and dealing with. Yeah, sometimes we have musicians on stage or on set, in the scene playing. Then I am helping with finding instruments, whatever it can be. If it has music in it, then I am in charge of it, and it's my responsibility.
And this is something that a lot of people, like so many things when it comes to creating film or TV, there are so many components that many people don't even think about. Why are there always covers in trailers and not the original songs? It's because you only have to get rights for half of it. But this is something, again, like Icelanders especially, but I think this is something that is in general, many people in the music industry, or people, especially people who are not into the music industry, struggle with understanding. So, for example, Wise Music, that you are running this Iceland office for, are a music publisher. And this is the first really international publishing company to have an office here. There are a couple of independent, smaller operations in Iceland that have started.
I'm not going to say smaller, because Wise Music Iceland is just me. So
yes,
I'm probably
true.
the smallest one.
That's true. Yeah, true. But you are.
But I'm more global.
You have a team you can connect with. Yeah. True. This is.
I'm very small.
It's just me. No, at least. But okay. So not that that's a huge. It doesn't matter very much. But there are, just in the last few years, there are only a handful of companies now that are focusing on music publishing. And publishing is something that has become a big part of the music industry recently, especially with all the people getting music into, with all the new streaming platforms, movies as well. But this is something was never really a thing in Iceland. People are aware of their publishing rights, höfundarréttur, because of Stef and their fantastic work, which is the Icelandic PRO. But this is and then people think about getting a record deal, but it has not really been a thing that people has been on their, on their site list to go, I'm also going to try and get a publishing deal. This is a very recent thing. Do you struggle with that in your work on a day-to-day basis? Just the lack of knowledge, or people just don't understand what publishing is?
I think a lot of people in Iceland know about publishing, but they don't really know what it is. And that kind of leads to a lot of people hoping to get a publishing deal when they don't need a publishing deal, and they shouldn't have a publishing deal. A big part of my job is meeting with composers and songwriters and tell them you should not have a publisher, because it's not for everyone, and it's not for every stage of your career. And this is why, publishers have had bad reputation in the past, is because people are possibly signing something when, first of all, they don't know what they're signing, and they don't know why they want the publisher.
Yeah.
They don't know what they want from the publisher. It's not clear. So, of course, the publisher is not going to be able to really serve them if there is no strategy, there is no kind of concrete plan of what that collaboration should be. So that's why, I try to be as helpful as I can with people working in Iceland, to kind of, let people dive into my head a little bit and ask about these things. So I really often do take coffees with composers who are thinking about maybe publishing and just asking me if they should have a publisher and stuff like that. And what I always start by doing is just kind of, what is your 10-year plan? And is a publisher going to be able to help you get there?
Yeah.
And if yes, then great. You should definitely try to find a publisher. But in many cases, it's not.
Yeah.
And you need to be, kind of ready to, first of all, like, you need to have that idea of that, writing music is going to be your career.
Yeah.
It's if it's just a hobby, if it's just a passion that you're just kind of doing on the side, don't sign a publishing deal. And if it's just about getting an advance payment, if that's the only reason, it's like there are many things to think about. And I struggle with it a little bit, with just kind of having people realize that it's just not yes or no.
Yeah.
It's
so if let's say that our audience at the moment are all artists who all think they want a publishing deal, what would be the first thing if you want to what is the public service announcement that you want to give out to people who aren't sure, who don't know enough? What would you like them to know before they think of contacting you?
Well, first of all, you have to realize that you are paying your publisher. They take your publishing share, or part of it, or and it's not like you just sign a deal and then you have this team working for you and all of your dreams are going to come true. You are paying them, so you have to kind of realize that if it's not a concrete business plan, it needs to be a business plan that makes sense for you.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to walk out of it and be really unhappy because you just took a lot of money that was supposed to go to you and went to someone else. And, but so what I suggest that people do is to kind of make a 10-year plan, first of all, figure out where you are now and where you want to go. Figure out if you need a team to get there, because in some cases you do.
Yeah.
And then when you have that idea and you've kind of realized where you are heading, then you can start thinking about a publisher and if it makes sense for you.
Yeah.
Because again, sometimes it is really, really, really good for your career and it can help you a lot. But you have to kind of know what you want from them and kind of what that collaboration needs to be.
I mean, I personally, I've done a lot of things, but I am a music industry consultant. So I run my own agency where I get artists to come in and kind of often provide management services. So people who are maybe not already in the position to either need or are in a financial position where they can offer someone to join as a full-time manager, because managers take around 20%, and if you have of your income, and if you have no income, 20% is not a lot of money. So this is a lot of what a lot of the same advice, and this is something that I think, especially in the Icelandic environment, I'd love to go into a little bit the beauty of working here, because there is something. We've both worked abroad, and you work with an international company. There are so many benefits and unique aspects to working in Iceland, but one of the downsides I have experienced is because of our the motto of our country is "Þetta reddast." It'll work itself out. It's also a small community. It's a small network. We're very used to using our very small networks to make things happen very fast. We are very problem-solving people. We are very positive, can-do people. And this means that a lot of things work out very quickly. If you get an idea and I'll just call this person, I'll make it work. And often so much beauty and magic and creativity comes out of that. But then when you want to take that and really, as you were saying, turn it into a business, not just have it as a hobby, not just have it as a side thing. And this is something I do so much. I teach a lot of workshops and do a lot of advising, or I'm trying to say, you need to make the decision if you are going to actually become a professional musician or composer or whatever you're doing, you need to start thinking of yourself as a startup. You need to start thinking of yourself as you need the business plan, and you need to start thinking, do I as a business want to go into a partnership with this publisher? Do I want to, I don't know, this is a business deal, and, is this good for my business?
It is a career, and it needs to be, I and my colleagues always say is that we are not creating pop stars. We are not having someone come in and sign a deal and then we're going to make the biggest hit. And, it's going to be on like a #1 Billboard list, and then you're going to... That's not what we do. No. We make careers. Yeah. So that's why we choose people who want to make a career. There are publishers, around the world who are focusing on creating the pop stars. And if you want that, go and try to see if they want to work with you. But what we do is we are creating a career. So we have a long-term plan. We are not jumping into anything, on the day of. And I even kind of had this happen to me as well, being the only Icelander who's working with Vice Music, was that when we created Vice Music Iceland, it was just 3 days later when I was just like, okay, let's go. It started, it's we have created this company and now we're just going to go and do so many things.
Let's sign everybody.
Yeah, no, it's just like, I want to go meet everybody and I'm going to have this big presentation and and they were just like, no. Inga, shh. First, we're going to find a bookkeeper. And I was like, oh, no, that's boring.
Let's find an accountant. Let's have an office space.
We have to create a bank account. I was like, no, I don't want to speak to the bank. I want to go. And they sometimes make fun of me for being kind of a very typical Icelander within this company, because I have that as well. That Icelandic attitude of kind of being like, I just call this person and we just like, I'm just going to go downtown and walk the Laugavegur and I'm going to meet someone, and but that's not kind of the attitude that I feel from the rest of the company.
I lived in Germany for almost 7 years, and I know Germans who refuse to work with Icelandic people because of this. They're like, they're great, they're so fun, they're so creative. They stress me out. I can't work with them. It gives me a heart attack.
And my closest colleagues are German and Danish.
Yeah, so they are asking you like, can you come to a dinner party in week 36? But no, but this is something that is interesting, because it was when I was living in Berlin, I was sometimes going insane because how often I was like, you know what, we can do this, and if we just do this, and and the capacity to think in what if everything works out, and if we just all, push a little bit harder, we can make this work. That ability I at least encountered quite often was quite lacking in German people. It was no. This is supposed to take this long to do. We're supposed to follow these certain steps. So as an Icelander, I came probably off to them as being quite chaotic and unorganized, disorganized. While when I moved back home, and I for 1 year was working for Sony Music Iceland, that was mostly doing music distribution, and I felt like I was the German, and then I was losing my mind, because I was like, well, it would be great to get a 3-month notice if you're going to release an album, and I was looked at like I was a crazy person. And so it's been really funny to kind of experience both sides.
To be honest, I kind of like their style a bit more.
Okay, tell me more.
No, because I feel like because now I've been working with them for 2 years, and we've had Vice Music Iceland for 1.5 years. So it's been like a long adjustment period of learning how to work with these different countries. And I am slowly becoming more similar to them. I can kind of feel it. And it's because of that, before I started working with them, it was like more urgency. And I was always like on the go and always, up for anything. And then, answered the phone immediately. Or, it was more chaotic and it was a bit more stressful. Yeah. But now I'm more used to things taking their time. Yeah. So I'm allowed to I don't have to when I send an email, I'm not like, I haven't had an answer in 2 hours. Well, is it not moving forward? I can just and if it's a week later and I haven't heard anything, I'm like, hey, we are doing this. Maybe you should. It's a bit more chilled.
Yeah. But would you, if you had the opportunity, would you prefer to work in then a Danish or German environment, or is there something about working in Iceland or being in Iceland that you prefer? Like, if you had the choice between, now you've lived for periods abroad and you've lived here, which do you prefer? Or is this the perfect mix to be in Iceland, working with Icelandic creatives and having the admin side coming from?
I think it is. It's definitely where I want to be because, like you said, I've lived abroad. There is no place in the world that I want to live in right now except Iceland.
Why is that?
Because I moved out of Reykjavík.
Okay, just for the viewers, you should know that Inga and I find ourselves, we think we're superior to everybody because we live just outside the city limits. So we believe we have found the perfect cocktail for best of both worlds, which is sometimes getting snowed in and sometimes losing water and electricity. But
I can get chickens.
Yes, you can get chickens.
Yes.
And I can. I wake up every morning looking at the Esja, which is pretty cool.
No, but it is, because I lived in Berlin for 1.5 years, and it was so concrete.
Yes,
it
Berlin is exceptionally ugly as well. I mean,
and it's just I kind of realized when I lived there that I'm not a city person. I'm not a person who likes the noise. I'm a very sensitive person. I am a sensitive sleeper. I am sensitive to really stressful energy and like áreiti,
any kind of just being bothered or being
No, not being bothered. That sounds kind of bitchy. But,
okay, yeah.
But
okay.
more like just
yes.
like constant
distractions or
and just like loud noises, strong smells. I'm sensitive to kind of. I can be really, sensitive to my environment, basically. And I really realized that when I lived in Berlin. So when I came back, Reykjavík was just too much for me. I just kind of, I was always going to my summer house to just try to be. And it was then when I moved out of Reykjavík, and then it was kind of the moment when I felt like, I want to be in Iceland. I just need to be in the nature.
Before we move, I want to ask more personal questions, but before we move on, I do believe we have some questions from the Facebook events, and maybe that's more about the professional element.
Yeah, the people watching this at home are asking if the Vice Media bankruptcy is affecting you at all.
Is the Vice Media bankruptcy affecting you at all?
I think they're probably talking about Vice as in that media company.
So this might be a...
This is a different company. Yes,
this... a moment to clarify that
yes.
they're not a related entity.
No, exactly. They're not connected. This is
Vice is a W.
Yeah.
Y. My company is WYSE, and it's not related to Vice. I think it was like a
VICE.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
So that's an Icelandic thing.
Yes. So this is.
V and W.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wise Music is the publishing company you work for or have the Icelandic office for. That's one of the older publishers, right? And I mean, it's been around for a while.
It used to be called Music Sales, and then they kind of realized that's a terrible name, and they changed it. It comes from the UK originally, but Vice Music is not one of the oldest, but the company that I work most closely with is in Wilhelm Hansen. It's in Copenhagen.
That's what I'm thinking about.
And they are like the Vice Music office in the Nordics or the Scandinavia, and they are the oldest Nordic publisher in the world.
Yeah.
They are 165 years old.
That's what I was thinking.
And it's a publishing company that's been run by women from the start.
That's why it's so
going
successful.
Between generations. It's a very female built company.
Yeah. But because I want to get to know you better, because you can always
nice.
Get our friendships could always get deeper. So please pick a card from this beautiful little box, because we want to introduce more chaos.
Aww. No, this is cute. This is not chaos.
Describe your younger self. So yeah, we've covered Inga, the modern day professional, the one who doesn't. You said you moved to Berlin and don't like the noise and the you prefer the peace and quiet of the countryside, even though it's only about 25 minutes away from here.
I haven't changed at all.
So you were the same as a child?
Yes. My parents had a lot of people worried for them because they thought I couldn't speak until I was like 7 years old. Like nobody heard me speak ever. I was very quiet. I was very shy. I was very kind of how do you say it in English? Like, sjálfur mér nóg.
You were self-sufficient.
I was self-sufficient. If I was always getting lost because I couldn't stand people trying to talk to me. So if we were in a dinner party or anywhere with grown-ups, or if I was walking down Laugaveg with my mom and she met someone she knew, I got lost. And I think my parents had to call the police like 3 times when I was growing up because I was lost and they found me somewhere hiding because I didn't want to, deal with all these people. I couldn't go to downtown Reykjavík during 17. Juni or the national holiday or Menningarnótt because it was so loud and there were so many people. So yeah, I haven't changed really.
But it is interesting though that this is where you come from and you say you haven't changed yet. So, I mean, I guess there's less with big groups, but a lot of what your job is to connect with people. A lot of what your job is to be social and to build networks and relationships and be in collaboration.
Yeah, but and I can do it. It's fine, and it's I enjoy it in many ways, and I think it's also just I'm more self-confident now, so I don't kind of feel the I don't feel as tired.
It doesn't take as much energy from you.
But at the same time, I can just do it for a limited amount of time.
Yeah,
I like anyone who has ever traveled with me or done anything remotely likely to kind of conferences or these networking places you have to go to at like festivals. They all know that I am gone at 9 o'clock, and I'm not going to speak to anyone until we meet again and breakfast the morning after because I really need to recharge.
It is interesting because now we've been very close friends for about, I would say, a year and a half. And we have so many similarities, so many things in common. But we are, I think, complete opposites on this scale. Mm-hmm. You are so incredibly introverted. I am probably as extroverted.
But all my best friends are incredibly extroverted.
Interesting.
So there is something... For some reason, I'm drawn to extroverted people. I think it's because they kind of, for example, my partner is very extroverted. Yeah. And if I would not be in a relationship with him, I would never leave the house in the weekend. I would just, it would be very dangerous for me to actually have an introverted partner. So I actually need people to kind of drag me out of the house because, like you said, I do enjoy being social and meeting people and talking. And it's also kind of the difference between small talks and actually talking for real. Because I like having deep conversation with people. Mm-hmm. I like to get to know people. I don't like to talk about other people. Mm-hmm. I don't like to talk about, gossiping or just like shallow, uninterested things. You can really see it really quickly if I'm not interested in what the topic is. It's just because I just face out. I really like going deep, and sometimes you even tend to go too deep, and explore all my darkest secrets. On Facebook.
Yeah, but I mean, this is something. This show has been known to be quite the therapy session. So I'm interested because I this is such a foreign concept to me. My partner is incredibly introverted, or at least, of course, I mean, you and him are the same in that you completely have the capacity to be able to be very social and open. But again, where you will need to retreat quite often and need to get and this is not the most comfortable space is networking or getting to know new people. But how does someone, because I know that one of the reasons I came to hafnar.haus is because I'm working alone quite often, even though a lot of my work is to, consult with people. Big chunks of my day are me on my own. And I love when I'm, procrastinating or I'm bored and someone walks by and I can be, let's chat and let's have a coffee. Don't know what it does for my productivity, but I do believe these things often are seeds for future things. But yeah, so I am so drawn to a concept like hafnar.haus because it is, for those who don't know, this is a huge space that we have, 2 big floors right in the center of Reykjavík, where either, people rent their own room where they can have a studio, workspace, whatever, or like we are part of the co-working space, so we just kind of can come and go as we want. And I'm so drawn to the community aspect. I'm so drawn to, especially for me, having lived in an international community in Berlin. I went to an international university. All my friends were from different nationalities. I feel it's a similar vibe in here. And that is what I'm so drawn to. So I'm interested for someone who has to very often retreat to be able to do what they want to do. What do you get out of being in a space like this, being an introvert? What do you seek in these environments?
So basically, I work alone, even though I have a lot of colleagues around the world. I do work alone. And because I am like I am, when I'm working, if I work from home, for example, I'm not calling people. I'm not taking half an hour to talk to my friend on the phone or call my mom, or I'm terrible with speaking on the phone. I would just rather turn off my phone and not have a phone. So I'm not interacting with people at all, which can be really dangerous if you do it for a long time.
Yeah.
Especially because I am self-sufficient, so I can handle it, but it sneaks up on you.
Yeah.
And you kind of end up going into kind of
darker places.
Places, especially if it's like too many days in a row.
Yeah.
So being in hafnar.haus, it kind of just forces me to be around people. Because, like I said, I'm not shy anymore. That's kind of maybe the difference between me and now and when I was a kid. I don't feel shy. And I do enjoy talking to people, but it kind of needs to be like, I need to be forced into the situation. So like being here and someone coming, like seeing someone that I know and actually having a conversation that I would not have if I would just be home alone, working from home. So it's like, in the end of the day, I do feel better when I come here to work and I, go out of the house and I meet people and I, even though it's, not deep conversation every time and like therapy sessions, every day, but it's just, it's in the end of the day, it is good to be around other people.
And I think we kind of discussed this as well regarding we are co-founders of a chapter of an organization which is called shesaid.so. So we're co-founders along with many other people, or many other women who started this organization, shesaid.so Icelandic chapter. And that's basically just a network and community for the music industry side, especially meant for women and gender minorities. And I think we've discussed this as well. It's not necessarily that we need to have these people up against us constantly, but it's when I need to reach out, there is somewhere to go. Like for me, it's often I'm like, I have a question about this, or I'm really insecure about this. Then there are people in the network I can look towards, and I can, get that. And it's the same, here in hafnar.haus, I really recommend the episode, the interview with Antje, who is our in-house, just goddess that feeds everybody, and and we can, always go if I am feeling very kind of needing to be bolstered, then I have the option of going down and having lunch when I want to. But I also have days where I just want to lock myself away somewhere in a corner and not really talk to anybody, or then can work from home. But I think it's I think the same, I just think it's very interesting to now be part of this community here, in the same way we started shesaid.so a year and a half ago, because there was some kind of want or need to, especially for people who have either been working, like for us, like we've been working abroad quite a lot. And for me, it was so important because I felt like I moved home and I felt like a foreigner. I'd been away for all my adult life, basically. To have people that I knew I could relate to. And I think that's something as well. And just the idea of having a creative space, or a space where everybody is kind of open to be creative. And I'm really grateful for Hafnar.haus. At last, all I've seen so far is I'm already seeing a lot of people with creativity I haven't seen before. They're, startups and, ways of thinking that I'm like, oh, okay, and so that's something I think is definitely useful.
Yeah, I think it's especially if you work alone, it's good to have, some people who might understand what you're going through, especially for me. And I think what I experience a lot is that all of my colleagues are outside of Iceland, and nobody has lived in Iceland. Nobody really knows Iceland. And Iceland is, in so many ways, especially in the music industry and the film industry, so unique, and kind of goes their own way and makes their own rules. Sometimes. So for me to kind of, if I would not have people in Iceland who I can speak to, for example, through shesaid.so, or the people I meet here, or, especially when I talk about the music industry, if I would not have them, I would feel so much lost, because I would only speak about the global music industry. But without anyone around me understanding how it is to work in Iceland. So I think that's something I really needed, was to kind of have someone, or have a team around me in Iceland who knows how it is to work in Iceland, because it is so different.
It is.
And it's a different attitude, and it's...
and the lack of infrastructure, it's like we are getting to international fame with very little infrastructure.
Yeah, and no standards in so many ways. It's just kind of like, this is just how it's always been done. And then you're like, I work with international projects and all of my other offices around the world, and the attitude of this has always been done this way, it's just not existent, because it's always changing. Every year the industry is changing, and they're always trying to catch up with the latest change, or how to kind of evolve and develop their office, and it's like it's always moving. So that kind of, at least I sometimes have that in the film industry. It's just like, we've just always done it like this. And it's just like, this is how it was done 30 years ago.
Yeah, but also a very young industry in a way.
Yeah, and that's kind of, there are no set standards for example, what you should pay for a music, or, what you should, how you should deal with licensing songs and all of that. What I do as a music supervisor is just like the difference between Iceland and the rest of the world is huge. And that's kind of, then it's really important for me also, just personally and emotionally, to kind of have people in Iceland who can be like, I get it. I get that this can be challenging, not...
Well, I think that's a very good way to end it. If you relate to Inga in any way on that life can sometimes be challenging, feel free to reach out to either one of us for a cup of coffee. As I say, we're both relatively new in the building, so we'd love to get to know some of you. If hopefully you learned a little bit about this side of the music industry. We only, of course, barely dipped our toes in. But just feel free to reach out, and we hope to see you tuning in for the next edition of hafnar.blabla. Thank you so much.